without it going over the top, which so many people fear that if I get angry, if I let it all out, someone's going to get hurt, something's going to get hurt. Well, not the way we do it in shadow work. We give people a place to safely express that, even to its fullest. People can be screaming and shouting and kind of letting go, releasing the anger, fully held safely and facilitated. And then we go to the other side, which is often grief, sadness, and tears. Often.
Absolutely, yeah. Because anger's just a mask, isn't it? It's a barrier to the deeper stuff. And then I was thinking about, as you were talking, I was thinking about the safe expression of anger and the suppression of anger, and how our mainstream society pedals very hard to suppress anger in people by providing distractions. So some of those distractions we self-impose, addictions, going to the gym obsessively, consumerism, lots of things that we do. So we never allow it to catch up with us and never allow it to come to the surface. And then society imposes restrictions and distractions on us by criminalising people, by medicating people, all sorts of things, by, putting people into slavery thinly disguised as employment. And so therefore what we're doing, putting people in debt, encouraging people to get into debt. There are lots of hidden ways in which people either do it to themselves or society does it to keep people in a state of suppression, and that can never take us to anywhere good. It's not a sustainable proposition.
Again, so well said and so well put. And for me, a lot of the things you spoke about there, although these distractions into, be it kind of drugs, be it kind of the addictions, even the shopping addictions, gym addiction, all these things are expressions of something that we're feeling lost within inside of ourselves. We're looking and the need for distraction away from being with emotions that we have not been taught how to be with. You said something to me some weeks back that stayed with me for so long. It's like we were talking about working with couples. We were talking about the discourse between people. And you said, well, we're taught how to do mathematics. We're taught how to kind of write English, and we're taught all these things. And yet we're not taught how to communicate. That very basic thing, how I can communicate my sense of dis-ease to another person without it coming out as attacking, shaming, or blaming. We kind of that very basic thing that we all do. We communicate, but we can so often communicate from different spaces. And that level of frustration that so many of us have about not being able to communicate, not feeling heard, not feeling accepted, means we look for distractions away from that pain, distractions that take us away from needing to feel that. And that's easily found. Like if I go down the gym, pump some weights, if I drink a load of alcohol, whatever it is. Personally, I've even been looking at my addiction to football and kind of how that the bread and circuses kind of thing, the opium of the masses, taking me away from, I can just narrow in on the TV, and I can be lost in soccer. So I've recently withdrawn my emotional connection to that sport that's become so solid by big finance and money. It's another sad reflection of how the world, that everything that's pure for so many people seems to have been monetarized and consumerized against us. And unless we're a consumer to it, somehow we lose connection to it. And that's just another area. But
amazing. Oh yeah. I mean, look, we could do a whole special just on that topic, but we have a limited time here, and I really want to kind of manipulate the conversation into somewhere else that I know is important to both of us. And that is, so we've got all this suppressed stuff going on in people, the shadow work, sitting there. And then you've got people then join organisations. And one of the things I know you've been exploring, which you were able to put into words for me that I kind of wasn't able to articulate, and was a great meeting point for us, is the shadow work of organisations. Because we only, I bang on about this, but you've only got to look at, the Post Office Horizon thing, Grenfell, Hillsborough, the list goes on and on and on and on, of all the failings of human beings when they're in a group and should be doing the right thing, not doing the right thing, lying and cheating and covering up, to avoid the greater humiliation. And so that's something that I'd really love to get your sense of it, of the shadow work needed in organisations.
Wonderful, great question, and what a wonderful thing to explore in this time. So, going back to Jung, who I spoke about early on, one of his theories around shadow was the collective shadow. So we talked about the collective unconscious shadow that we carry as a race of people, and if you break that down to kind of ethnicities, so in one of the things, I'm Afro-Caribbean. I was born in Antigua. My lineage goes back to those people that were brought onto that island as slaves, where they were taken there from Africa. So if you imagine that for that group of people, there's this shadow that sits in our collective kind of identity around who we actually are in terms of our identity to those lands of the Caribbean, and never mind to the lands of this place, and then to the lands of Africa. That disconnect that sits inside us that we know is part of our ancestry, but we can't actually connect into because we don't have access to that. So that's just on one level. So you talk about organizations. Now, organizations, as you know, I know, and everyone else watching this knows, have cultures. And that culture comes from somewhere. It's set by people. And within that organizational culture, there will be all the unspoke to rules and ideas about what it is to work in this organization. And a lot of that is going to be sat in the shadow. Who has power, how power is used over people, how power is used to kind of control people.